Hi everybody, welcome back and welcome Outlaws. You are now fully fledged Outlaws. You crossed the finish line, you have the perfect right to call yourself that, and I have to say that I'm just getting my voice back after the weekend, but it was an absolute pleasure and an honour to call you all across the line. So, you've done it. The thing you've been training for the last few months has been and gone. You've achieved your goal. You're probably starting to feel a little down that you've got nothing to occupy that time, but don't worry. We need to talk about the post-race recovery plan. It's really important. It doesn't mean that just because you cross the finish line you can drop into some bad habits. You need to keep looking after yourself, otherwise you could end up not recovering as quickly as possible. So I've got some things written on the board behind me that I think are really important, and we're going to go through those now. Let's just forget about training first, because after so many months of training I think you need to be focusing on recovery, and the first thing to do is focus on lifestyle. It's entirely natural for you to, especially if you've given up eating chocolate and cakes and drinking beer or wine, to want to kick back a little bit and indulge in those. And I would imagine that after hours of eating gels and sweet stuff you probably wanted to eat a full fried English breakfast on Monday morning, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Let me tell you first, if you have the post-race blues, if you're feeling a little down, it's entirely natural. As I said, you've got probably a big void in your life now that this race has gone. Don't worry about that, that will go fairly soon, but don't panic if you're feeling like that. Yeah, chill out, do some other stuff. It's been triathlon for the last few months. I know that when I've done a big race, and I've got mine in less than 2 weeks now, it's all been about the X-Man, and for you it'll all have been about the Outlaw. So do something else. If you like rock climbing, if you want to go to yoga, if you want to go for a walk in the hills, that's absolutely fine. Try some other sports. Don't forget to celebrate your achievement. Far too many athletes cross the finish line, get the medal, collect the photographs, look at the results, and they've almost entered another race before they've had a chance to reflect on that. It's taken a lot of your life. It's a big achievement. Don't belittle it. Take your time, celebrate your achievement, and if people want to pat you on the back, let them buy you a beer and enjoy it. Finally, this one's really important: repay the goodwill. I guess certainly I know a lot of athletes who have to beg their wives, their husbands, their kids, their parents to take on tasks for them so that they can fit the training in to accomplish their goal. Unfortunately, that is a loan. It's a loan of goodwill, and as we know from recent economic times, loans have to be repaid. And so now, when you're not doing as much time, not doing as much training, it's a perfect time for you to repay that goodwill loan to those people I just mentioned. The next thing I want to do is talk about nutrition. It's one of the things that's really going to help you to recover from this race. So I think there's just 3 rules. By the way, as I said, if you wanted a full English breakfast on Monday morning, that's entirely natural. If you want to eat ice cream, drink some beers, that's great. But the sooner you get back on to a quality eating plan, the quicker you'll help your body recover. So 3 things. Refueling. You need some carbs to refuel the muscles after your efforts. You need protein, good quality, fish and meat to help those muscles repair themselves, and that will take a bit longer than the refueling. And finally, you need to replenish those muscles and the vital organs with vitamins and minerals, which you can get from fruits and vegetables. So get back onto a good quality food as soon as possible. If you feel like sleeping more, sleep more. There's nothing wrong with 10 hours sleep. Don't forget to hydrate, and make sure you're getting your salts and electrolytes in as well. Have massages after your legs have stopped being really sore, and do all the other non-active recovery stuff. So you're probably thinking, well, that's all very well, Simon, but I'm an obsessive compulsive, I like to train, when can I start training again? And here's my plan. I've got some questions up here which I'll come back to in a minute. In this first week after the Outlaw, just be active. Don't even think about training. If you want to go out for riding your bike, that's fine, but make it unstructured. Don't have any plans to ride at a set heart rate, to ride for a set time. Certainly I will keep it low intensity, but just go and be active so you can get some blood circulating around through the muscles. If you are going to start, and I would suggest that you don't do any running during that phase. So remember what I said about doing other stuff. In the second week, little or no running. Legs probably quite sore. Again, unstructured training. I like to call it exercise here. When we talk about training, people think about zones and heart rates and durations and targets. So exercise and activity, about 30 minutes a day. That still puts you above what the government recommend and above the majority of the population. Into the third week, again unstructured, still calling it exercise, probably about 60 minutes per day. You can introduce some running here, but if you are going to run, try and run off-road, try and run on grass, try and run on a treadmill, try and do some deep water running, but do try to avoid tarmac and sort of, very solid surfaces. Finally, by the time we get to week 4, you should be getting back to what I would call your normal recovery week. So, normal training routine, sessions on the set days, you can actually go back into some training. And then, so by the 5th week, you're ready to get back to normal. That's my ideal plan. It will differ for different people depending on how much stress you have in your lives, how much effort this race took out of you. So here's some questions. What about if I have a race within the next 4 weeks? Well, I would say that's your hard luck for planning it. You may well recover, you may well have a good race. I hope you do, but I also know people who've had an absolute nightmare. They've really not felt like it, up for it, they've wasted their money and they've gone and they've regretted it. So in future I would say don't plan anything within 4 weeks of doing an outlaw distance event. Do I really have to take 4 weeks? Well, again, that's up to you. As I said in the blog, having lived with an athlete who had chronic fatigue, I know what happens when you don't get full recovery after long duration events. I've seen it firsthand, and there's a slow degradation of the system which might take several years. But as a coach, I'm really interested in long-term performance, not just this one race. So if you want to get better next time, take a good recovery and then recommence your training. It's almost impossible to hold on to your fitness, and you need to remember a mountain climbing analogy that the next step after a peak is always down. Okay, what if I don't feel ready after 4 weeks? Well, again, there's no hard and fast rules for this. Some people feel ready to train after 4 weeks, some people convince themselves they're ready to train after 2 weeks, some people aren't ready after 6 weeks. If you leave it for 6 months, then you really will experience a loss of fitness and a gain in weight, so I probably wouldn't wait that long. But if you need an extra week or 2, don't panic, just go with the flow, enjoy yourself. You'll soon get your fitness back once you get started. So again, that's not a rigid plan. Go by feel. Humans are pretty good, and the body's pretty good at telling you what it needs and what it doesn't need. And when it needs rest, it will tell you, and you'll sleep and you'll feel tired and your legs will ache. So the most important thing is enjoy this time now, take a good recovery, plan your stuff for next year in a few weeks' time, and then get ready and let's get started again, ready for next year's Outlaw. Thanks for watching, congratulations once again, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.